It's midday. Very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are live from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. The news is also live on all our partner stations across the country and around the world. We are live on citynewsroom.com. My name is Hawa Idrisu and I'm here with
Kweku Ediama Ansa.
Coming up, Public Accounts Committee of Parliament chastises the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration for the use of 2.8 million cedis and 1.79 euros for the payment of rent for 21 missions.
They have cited 21 missions, and this is on economic rent payment.
Also coming up, mining advocacy group Wakam accuses government of not being transparent about findings of the committee tasked to probe circumstances that led to the Apiate explosion.
We're marking the 1 year of the Apiate explosion to express our unhappiness about the lack of transparency in relation to the report of the Apiate Fact-Finding Committee.
We'll take you live to the community where there is a memorial service to mark the 1 year anniversary. Still ahead, 2 dead and 11 others in critical condition after a bus ran into a stationary vehicle on the Kumasi Offensive Highway in the Ashanti region in the early hours of today.
Na kabisiwasi asesi kwanchem ho anti dem one say kabiji pine nipa titisi wo ma wudie.
And later, High Court in Tamale affirms NDC's Abdul Jacob Idrisu as duly elected Member of Parliament for Savligu following a petition by the MPP's 2020 parliamentary candidates.
The Savligu elections have equally been declared in favor of the NDC parliamentary candidate who was declared by the Electoral Commission.
All that and more on Citi Prime News, which is also live on all our affiliates across the country. Western Region, Premier FM 100.5 in Takoradi, Beach FM 105.5, also in Takoradi, Bono Region, Greener FM 95.9 in Sunyani, Ashanti Region, Orange FM 107.9 in Kumasi, Volta Region, we are live on Akweni Radio 96.7 in Pando, Heritage FM 107.3 in Hohoi, Northern Region, Dasuma FM 99.1 in Yendi, Upper East, Word FM 88.3 in Zwarungu, Upper West, Westlink FM 88.1 in Laura, and Northeast Region, we are live on Eagle FM 94.1 in Waliwali.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
We are grateful for choosing us. Now, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has raised eyebrows over the use of $2.8 million and 1.79 euros for the payment of rent for staff of 21 missions by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. The Auditor General in its 2020 report described the payment of these rent as uneconomic and recommended the use of mortgage systems to curtail the situation. But appearing before the committee, the Acting Chief Director of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ramses Joseph Cleland, says the proposed mortgage system of accommodation for missions has been a challenge. Here are excerpts of the proceedings.
How many of these missions, 21 missions, have we acquired these properties instead of paying rent?
Mr. Chair, I'm trying to answer the question, but I think in doing so, we are looking at whether it's been possible for us to do so over the years. And we did acquire a 50 million Societe Generale facility, and we employed a 50 million Societe Generale facility to the best of our ability. It was not able to cater for the 21 missions. We did our very best with the facilities. And then what I'm trying to say is that what we applied the Societe Generale facility to, we were able to complete certain missions, but only because the cost of the missions were such in building them that it could only do for 3 missions that we are mentioning. And we are still trying to complete other missions still on the Societe Generale. We haven't completed yet, sir. So we did our very best.
Sir, I'm sorry to cut you short.
Yes, sir.
The question is simple. You claim you got 50 million loan or Societe Generale. That's not what I'm asking you about. They have cited 21 missions, and this is on economic rent payment.
We had excerpts of proceedings at the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Let's go live to the House and speak to my colleague, Ni Ayukwe Okain. Good afternoon to you, Ni. Thanks for your time. Now, what other issues have come up with regards to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration?
Okay, so today the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament is continuing with its hearings, and before it has been the Ministry of Transport as well as the Scholarship Secretariat. And we also had the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. One of the key issues that came up was having to do with the uneconomic rent payments to missions abroad. So what came up was that the Auditor General in its 2020 report indicated that the payments of these amounts, that is the 2.9 and then the $2.8 and then the 1.7 euros for these rents are uneconomic, because we could have used a mortgage system which could have been much more economical than what they are using now. But the officials also indicated that it is very difficult to secure these mortgage systems outside because once you're a foreign country, it makes it very difficult. Also, it's also expensive to pay these rents because of the locations or the prime areas where these missions or offices are situated within the foreign countries. That makes it quite expensive to pay for these rents. So the mortgage system is something that they've been trying to actually secure in order to deal with the issue having to do with uneconomic payments of rents, but that hasn't been successful. And they also had issues having to do with an abandoned project, which they said was the Edu Lodge Guest House. So this is a project that was supposed to have started in 2007 at a contract price of 1.4 million Ghana cedis. But then in 2008, the project was actually abandoned, although about % of the money had already been paid to the contractor. And from the responses given by officials of the ministry, they indicated that the contractor fell ill and at a point abandoned the project. So he had to resume work in 2017. And in resuming the work, he had to review the contract and peg the price at 7.9 million Ghana cedis from the 1.4 million Ghana cedis. And despite the payments of the 90%, so the committee actually raised concerns about this particular issue. How do we have to spend over 6 million Ghana cedis for a project that was supposed to have been completed earlier than the scheduled date? So, and this wasn't even at the fault of government, but rather the contractor. So why then do we have to pay such a huge amount? But the officials indicated that the project has currently been completed. It was completed in 2021 and it's been handed over to them. But the committee was still not happy about the fact that we had these anomalies within the contract, and they demanded for more answers to that effect. As I indicated, the committee had the Ministry of Transport also appearing before it, but they had only one issue, and that had to do with the National Road Safety Authority office in Cape Coast that failed to deduct 10% of their withholding taxes, which amounted to about 5,250 Ghana cedis on the payment of allowances for programs and activities for officers of the authority. But the officials of the ministry also said that the taxes have currently been deducted, they've been retrieved and paid to the Ghana Revenue Authority accordingly. So these are some of the issues that have come up. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also stated that they had secured $15 million Societe Generale that was to help to complete some of the missions abroad, the offices for missions abroad. So they've been able to deal with the accommodation challenges with Japan, Mali, and then South Korea. And they were seeking that they could secure another Societe Societe Generale loan to be able to complete the other ones that are remaining. But they said this was at an embryonic stage. That is, it's not yet advanced yet. So they are still in deliberations on that particular issue. So that has been it here from the Public Accounts Committee.
You mentioned the scholarship secretariat also appeared before the committee. What are some of the issues that came up?
So they didn't have much of an issue at all, and they indicated that issues that had to do with any payments have actually been settled, and that was confirmed by the Auditor General, so they were actually discharged.
Very well grateful for your time. That was my colleague in Parliament, Ni Ayukwe Okan, bringing us up to speed with regards to happenings or proceedings at the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Kweku brings us our next story.
Now, the individual bondholders resisting government's domestic debt exchange program are optimistic that the joint technical committee set up by the finance minister to find solutions to the current standoff between government and the group will successfully deliver on its mandate. The individual bondholders have been asking government to completely exempt them from the program and find money in the 2023 budget through expenditure cuts to pay them. A joint committee was set up by government as part of continuous engagements with domestic creditors to sign on to the debt exchange program. After the committee's first day of sitting, which lasted for more than 5 hours, a member of the Individual Bondholders Forum, Senyo Husi, expressed optimism of reaching an amicable settlement.
It's been close to a 6-hour meeting of crunching numbers, running a lot of analytics. We think that we are getting close to firming up a recommendation for consideration by the minister. But let's all keep our fingers crossed. We can't share details as of yet. But I really need to commend my colleagues who have. Martin is a top shot lawyer. And it's not in this because he has much economic interest in this matter. He's here for the cause, and we must commend all those who have sacrificed their time to be here, as well as Mr. David Tete, for their time. We are grateful to the team here. It shows the kind of hardworking members of the Ministry of Finance that, as a country, we are graced with. So we really commend them. Let's see how it goes.
We're told that you were asked to show specific areas in the budget where these expenditure cuts should be made. Have you been able to do that?
Oh, that one is the easiest of the entire exercise, but it's a matter of finding a good balance. So I think we'll make some progress. Have a good evening.
So you had Senyo Husi, who is a convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum.
Now, 2 male adults have been confirmed dead, while 11 others have been hospitalized after a Kia Grand Bed bus, which was traveling from Zebula to Kumasi, ran into a stationary vehicle on the Kumasi-Ofenso highway. The incident had happened at about 6 a.m. this morning when the bus crashed into the 40-articulator truck parked on the shoulders of the road at Denasi, close to Kodia, killing the 2 on the spot. The 11 others are currently on admission at the St. Patrick Hospital at Ofenso, while the bodies of the deceased have also been deposited at the same hospital for identification. Police at Kodia have begun investigations into the incident and have also launched a manhunt for the driver of the faulty truck. We'll bring you that particular insert in our subsequent bulletins, where an eyewitness spoke to Citi News.
We do more stories, and the Ghana Psychological Association is advocating for the establishment of a mental health policy to deal with the increasing suicide cases in the country. The recent incident happened at Ajwa, a community in the Hunter West district of the Western region, where a woman believed to be in her 20s allegedly committed suicide together with her 4-year-old son. Speaking to Citi News, the public relations officer of the Ghana Psychological Association, Dr. Isaac Newman-Arthur, called for the decriminalization of attempted suicide.
I think that suicide, almost every day, something happens to suicide. Every 40 seconds, someone dies from suicide. But unfortunately, not all of them are reported. So those that are reported make the news. But it's something that happens all the time. And suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death amongst people aged between 15 and 19. And surprisingly, 2nd leading single most important cause of death amongst men under 45. And so that is very, very significant. So around this time, depending on the reportage and what we do about the cases coming up, we may see, an increased number of these kind of cases because of what we call the copycat kind of syndrome, where people who are already contemplating suicide are likely to do it because they've seen someone else do it. And so we need to be very, very careful how we report on things like that. And most of the majority of the people who commit suicide have depression, and depression is a mental health issue. That is why decriminalizing attempted suicide is very, very important. So most of the risk factors, regarding depression may be people's inability to cope and adjust with various life situations, maybe a traumatic life event like a loss of a relative, a loss of a job, or something that they've lost, maybe due to abuse or rape or lack of parental care and guidance, maybe spousal-related problems, marital-related problems. It can be financial-related issues. It can be tradition and tradition-related issues where people are maltreated and stuff like that. So usually, there may be also some underlying medical condition like bipolar, schizophrenia, or even drug abuse or substance abuse. So usually there are multiple factors that may be responsible for, someone deciding to commit a suicide. And usually it is not a single factor, but a single factor may be the trigger or the straw that broke the camel's back. And so generally around this time, we need to educate people on mental health related issues that are likely to lead to suicide. And we also need a national policy on mental health and mental health care and insurance for mental health and subsidies and stuff for mental health care. And also decriminalization of attempted suicide. All these things may help, in terms of helping deal with problems like this.
Dr. Isaac Newmanatha is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Psychological Association.
Now, the Apiate community is today commemorating 1 year since dozens of people lost their lives in an explosion. The incident wiped away the entire community and left hundreds of residents injured. Others are still receiving treatment in various facilities, while others who have been left with permanent injuries are still reeling from the effect of the accident. Here is a report of event from Apiate over the last 1 year.
A year ago today, several residents of Apiate who were going about their normal activities were caught up in an explosion that claimed the lives of dozens. Reports indicated that the explosion was as a result of a collision between a motorbike and a truck carrying explosives. Many residents were left displaced by the incident and have since been relocated to make way for the reconstruction of the entire community. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, arrived the following day in Apiate to inspect the extent of damage caused by the explosion. Government subsequently imposed a $6 million fine on Maxam Ghana Limited, the company at the center of the explosion. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, at a press briefing on the matter, also set out 14 conditions to be met by the company before the restoration of its operating permit. 16 people have lost their lives as a result of the explosion, and others are still nursing their injuries in hospitals a year on. A vigil was held last night to remember the departed souls. Today, a memorial service is being held with an observation of a minute's silence.
That was a news desk report filed by Citi News' Zoe Abubeido Ado. Let's go over to the community and speak to the Assembly Member for Bepon Electoral Area, Thomas Yao Enyam. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for your time. Now, 1 year on, what has changed in the community? Hello, sir.
Your call has been put on hold. Please wait.
Hello, sir. We've lost contact with the Assembly Member for the Bepon Electoral Area. We'll be bringing you we will try to re-establish contact with the assembly member shortly. Now, the Apiate community is celebrating 1 year since the explosion, which left several people dead and others injured. Some are still receiving treatment at hospitals in the western region and the central regions. We understand the assembly member for Bepon electoral area has rejoined us. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for your time. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Unfortunately, the lines are not helping us this afternoon. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll try and establish contact with the assembly member again. We are still listening to the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, we take you to the Apiate community to observe a memorial service which is currently underway. Plus, High Court in Tamale affirms NDC's Abdul Yakub Idrisu as the duly elected Member of Parliament for Savaligu following a petition by the NPP's 2020 parliamentary candidate. We have details of that plus other stories. Please don't go away.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Fine, anyone can become the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555 222490.
YouGoFlip.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Counting a population of over 1.4 billion people, a vast wealth of natural resources, and brilliant minds, welcome to Africa, where our collective prosperity is very much achievable. This is why the Africa Prosperity Network, under the auspices of the President of the Republic of Ghana and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, presents the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, dubbed the Kwewu Summit. From the 26th to the 28th of January 2023, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will host some of his colleagues, heads of state, over 500 business leaders and social sector leaders on the continent and in the diaspora for the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. Themed AFCFTA from ambition to action, delivering prosperity through continental trade. Register at www.africaprosperitynetwork.com.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, the St. Thomas Catholic Church at the University of Ghana is debunking claims that its premises have been turned into a shelter for some stranded students. In an interview with the Citi News on Tuesday, a student claimed he slept in the washroom of the Catholic Church after he was denied entry into the Commonwealth Hall. Management of the University of Ghana, as part of measures to clamp down on the spate of clashes among students, instituted a new accommodation policy. The policy will have male continuing students of Mensa Saba and Commonwealth halls reassigned to other halls of residence. However, reacting to concerns of some affected students, Father William Abeku Apre, chaplain at the St. Thomas Catholic Church at the University of Ghana, says the claim that students are using washrooms of the church as accommodation is untrue and must be disregarded.
As far as we know, the Catholic Church compound in addition to the two other churches next to us, the Legon Interdenominational Church and the Anglican Church. The whole enclave is a non-residential area. So even we, the ministers, we don't stay here. We don't sleep here. I sleep somewhere else. So for a student who is stranded for the accommodation reasons and is looking for a place to sleep, if the person should come to the Catholic Church compound, there are several places the person can sleep without even anybody noticing. Typical place I can say is this parish hall, which is under construction. It's a huge building. For somebody who is stranded, who comes to the Catholic Church compound, that is the closest possibility to a place that the person can lay his head. But for the person to say he went all the way to the back to use our washroom, that is not possible. I don't think that is possible. That is a story that is true.
Father William Abeku Apre is the chaplain at the St. Thomas Catholic Church at the University of Ghana.
In more stories, the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana is calling on government to pay its members over 9 months of arrears for services rendered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. According to the group, the outstanding arrears is having a dire impact on their members as well as healthcare delivery in the country. The association fears the NHIS card may soon become worthless as health facilities may return to the cash and carry system. Speaking to Citi News, the Vice President of the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana, Donko Boache Samuel, urged government to release all monies accrued from the collection of the NHIS levy to the National Health Insurance Authority for onward disbursement.
Show me a place in this country, a hospital, a facility in this country, that you will go, that you just take your card, just go for all the services and come back without paying anything. It's never, you not get one. Not government, not quasi, not private, not not tax, not anything. You can't get one. So we are waiting on it. So I wonder why we still talk about NHI. But NHI is one of the best policies in this country. Best, because it deals with health. It deals with health. So that money, I wish no government will touch that money, but all will be given to the National Health Insurance Authority. We give to them, take your money, and then pay the providers. Let them heal our people. So we get a forced work for our dear country.
Samuel Boache Donko is the Vice President of the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana.
The Ghana Health Service will from today, January 20 to January 24, roll out the latest phase of the nationwide mass COVID-19 vaccination exercise to help increase the uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine. The exercise is the sixth in the series of the National COVID-19 Vaccination Days campaign launched in February last year to enhance uptake and information flow. For this latest campaign, all people aged 15 years and above, including pregnant women, are eligible to receive the vaccine. Speaking to Citi News, the manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Amponsah-Achiano, says each of the vaccination campaigns records a high number of participants.
We started a campaign technically in December, when the Honorable Minister of Health designated December 2021 as a month of vaccination. And we realized that it went up. Then we did what we call the National COVID-19 Vaccination Days. It started in February. Again, we saw that vaccination coverage shot up. We repeated that in April. In June, we did twice. And each time we did that, you see some peaks. So we've realized that this strategy works.
We had the manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Amponsah-Achiano. Now, as of January 13, 2023, over 22 million persons have been vaccinated, out of which 54% are fully vaccinated, with 3 million persons receiving at least one jab.
Now, human rights and environmental mining advocacy group WACAM is accusing the government of not being transparent about the findings of the committee tasked to probe the circumstances that led to the Apiate explosion. Government constituted a 3-member committee to investigate the explosion, but the committee's report has not been made public yet. As today marks the 1-year anniversary of the mining explosion, the executive director of the group, Daniel Owusu, says the public interest the incident has garnered, the government must make the report public.
What measures are in place to hold the company in the center of the explosion responsible for the payment of adequate compensation to the victims of destruction of their properties, including buildings and personal properties. We are aware that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources constituted a fact-finding committee and a report that was submitted, but it has not been made public. This is of serious concern because the Apiati explosion is of major public interest. We are marking the 1-year pain of the people of Apiati, some of whom continue to live in tents and on the charity of benevolent people without knowing when they will be restored to their previous life of dignity and social cohesion. We are marking the 1 year of the Apiati explosion to express our unhappiness about the lack of transparency in relation to the report of the Apiati Fact-Finding Committee.
Now, he further called on the government to use the incident as a yardstick to ensure that the weaknesses in our mining regulations are resolved.
Remind government that issues of public safety are important issues for public discussions. It is important that we use the Apiati explosion to look at the weakness in our mining regulations, enforcement lapses, and the strength of our laws to hold the state to address the negative effects of the actions and inactions of mining companies and those that provide ancillary services to mining companies. We should ensure that the Apiati explosion is not treated as one of the serious occurrences relating to public safety in our country that are met with heightened enthusiasm but easily die off with time. We thank you for your keen interest in this important issue of public concern.
Executive Director of Human Rights and Environmental Mining Advocacy Group, Wakam, Daniel Osu speaking.
This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM stories. We've been bringing you this. Public Accounts Committee of Parliament chastises the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration for the use of $2.8 million and 1.79 euros for the payment of rent for 21 missions. We also brought you a story where the mining advocacy group Wakam is accusing government of not being transparent about findings of the committee tasked to probe circumstances that led to the Apiati explosion. And 2 persons reported dead and 11 others in critical condition after a bus ran into a stationary vehicle on the Kumasi-Ofenso highway in the Ashanti region in the early hours of today. Let's now take you up north, where the High Court sitting in Tamale has dismissed a parliamentary election petition brought against the Member of Parliament for the Savlugu constituency by the NPP parliamentary candidate for the area, Mohammed Abdul Somed Gunum. The petitioner claimed that the election was fraught with malpractices, irregularities over voting, among others, and thus prayed the court to annul the result. However, at a ruling today, the court, presided over by Justice Daniel Obin, the court ruled that the allegations raised by the petitioner were just administrative errors and did not affect the outcome of the elections. The court has therefore ordered the petitioner to pay an amount of 40,000 cedis and 20,000 cedis to the elected Member of Parliament and the Electoral Commission, respectively. Mohammed Abdul Salam is the representative of the second respondent, Abdul Jacob Idrisu, and he has been speaking to the media.
The NDC had challenged the elections in Zabzugu as far as the parliamentary is concerned, and the MPP on the other hand had challenged the Savlugu seat. This morning, in sum, we can say that the status quo have been maintained by the court, while the Zabzugu seat has been declared in favor of the MPP, thereby maintaining the ruling or the declaration by the Electoral Commission. The Savlugu elections have equally been declared in favor of the NDC parliamentary candidate who was declared by the Electoral Commission. So as we speak, this ruling does not affect anything happening in Parliament now. The numbers remain the same. We have our Savlugu seat, they have their Zabzugu seat. We are satisfied with the outcome. There's no need to extend any further long processes as far as this is concerned. We don't intend to appeal against the ruling. We are satisfied with the outcome.
Mohammed Abdul Salam is the representative of the second respondent, Abdul Jacob Idrisu, who filed a case against the Member of Parliament for Savlugu. Now, the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, tells Citi News the next step the party will take.
The judge admitted that there were administrative errors, which would not affect the outcome of the elections. So there was an admission. We did a case in court and we got it. The judge also indicated that the criminal case that was done by the ballot issuer would not be reflected in the parliamentary, but we have proved the case that there was a criminal case. The MPP and the lawyers, we will pursue another criminal case that all of you know, because it was through the media we got to realize that there were unlicensed guns that were in the possession of the Member of Parliament elect as declared today, and the MPP will proceed on that. So we came to court and we were able to stand on 3 things, and the judge confirmed for that one. But for Zabzugu, the NDC did not stand on any case. It was summarily dismissed.
That was Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. In a related development, a petition filed by the Zabzugu NDC 2020 parliamentary candidate Umar Al-Hassan against the elected Member of Parliament John Benham Jabbar of the constituency after he was declared winner of the 2020 parliamentary elections has also been dismissed by the courts.
They've tested it, then 2020 they said no. Our old wife, John Benham, used to prepare a better meal for us, and for that matter, we have to go back for him. And exactly was what they did. My opponent didn't understand like I did in 2016. Even though the margin between him and myself in 2016 was so small, I clearly understood that the people wanted a change and gave up. But he didn't do that. And he decided to exercise his democratic right, which he did. Today the court has spoken. I thank the court. I thank the very good people of Zabzugu constituency for giving me that opportunity again to come back and serve them, which I am doing. And at the end of it all, I say very big thank you to God for making it possible for us to go through these hard times up to this level. Thank God today I'll be able to sleep and sleep well. I thank.
That was the Member of Parliament for Zabzugu, John Benham Jabbar. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are live from our studios in Adabraka, in Accra. We are also live on a number of affiliates across the country. Western region, we are live on Premier FM and Beach FM, both in Tekrade. Bono region, Greener FM in Sunya. In Ashanti region, Orange FM in Kumasi. Volta region, Akpeni Radio in Kwandu, Heritage FM in Hohoi. Northern region, we are hearing us live on Dasuma FM in Yendi, Upper East, Word FM in Zuarungu, Upper West, Westlink FM in Laura, and Northeast region, we are live on Eagle FM in Wale Wale. Now, still to come, Volta Regional Capital Hall to host 66th National Independence Day Parade. We have details of that and other stories coming up. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
And I have my TomTom.
Your passion. You have dreamt of it, planned for it, worked for it, wept for it, fought for it, and lived for it. At a critical now or never moment, you might lose focus from it. That's when you pop your TomTom candy. Focus and breathe. Just breathe. You've got this. You have so much to breathe for. Breathe for it with TomTom. This advert is FDA approved.
Imagine 7 exciting days of adventure through 16 incredible regions of Ghana with a promise of a rich cultural experience, introspective historical visitations, and exhilarating field days with nature. Imagine 7 amazing days of a road trip filled with the sights, sounds, and the aura of a diversified people. But you don't have to imagine it. You can be there to experience all the thrilling adventures a heritage caravan trip has to offer. What are you waiting for then? Join the expedition of a lifetime to discover Ghana from the 4th to the 11th of March on the Heritage Caravan 2023. Pack your bags and let's set off on a spectacular tour from Greater Accra through to the Eastern Region, Ashanti Region, Upper East Region, Savannah Region, Northern Region, through to the Northwest, Bono Region, Ahafo Region, Bono East Region, Western North, Western Region, and the Central Region of Ghana. A journey full of fun, education, information, wonderful memories, and great bonding moments awaits you. So call 0205 973 973 to register for Heritage Caravan 2023 now. The Heritage Caravan 2023 is powered by Citi FM with support from Citi TV and proudly sponsored by Holland Ghana, the European Union, Malta Guinness, and Ebony Condoms.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. The Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima, says plans are underway to drag the government before the ECOWAS court in order to seek justice for the family of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale. According to the foundation, it is compelled to resort to the ECOWAS court due to the slow nature of the case in Ghana. Monday, January 16th, marked the 4th anniversary of the incident, and City News' Fred Duho has been to the family home to find out how family members are coping.
In 2019, January 16, Ahmed Hussein Swale was murdered in cold blood. But 4 years down the lane, how are the families and relatives actually coping with the situation in this area? According to them, they meet on a WhatsApp platform basically to remember and share some fond memories of the investigative journalist that was killed in cold blood. It's been 4 years of feet dragging, as some stakeholders in the media landscape would describe it. There has been no progress as far as investigation into what really led to the killing of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale. Let's now have the opportunity to speak to the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Mr. Suleimana Brahima, here in his office, probably to share some perspective on what he makes of the delay in investigations.
We've had persons in different levels of government comment on the matter and give some assurances. And then we had the president himself on a number of occasions also making similar promises. When the president spoke, he gave us some assurance that, well, if this is coming from the president himself, then maybe a decision has been made to take the matter seriously. But it has turned out to be that the president also just spoke, just as other people spoke. Initially, we thought that something was going to be done. And so I don't have any doubt about the capacity, the intelligence, the commitment, the professionalism of the police if they decide to work. But in this particular case, I think that they've just decided they are not going to act. And what can we as an NGO do to compel them to work? At this stage, the only available mechanism to us is the ECOWAS court, which does not require that we exhaust local remedies before we can take up matters before the court. And so that's why we are exploring that option.
Speaking to one of the legal team members of the Tiger IPI and Analysis Group, Ode Crow, he believes that the vacuum created by the demise of Ahmed Hussein Swale would over time be felt by the organization, but essentially they hope to bounce back stronger.
We can't take away the fact that, yes, Ahmed was one of the good
investigators, the undercover investigators that we Tiger Eye had. And you can't discount his contribution to the team. And after his demise, obviously, everybody within that team felt, threatened. Everybody's life obviously was at stake. So it required, some measures which I'm not allowed to. Obviously, I can't tell you. To be undertaken to make sure that yes, the safety of the journalist or all the other undercover journalists are protected. All utterances of the member of parliament in question, well, people will assess it. As I said, that is his personal ambition that he wants to embark on. But we can never discount that he didn't do that investigative journalist any good by splashing his pictures out there and inviting threats on him.
Until issues surrounding Ahmed Swale's death are unraveled and many other issues or matters are brought to the fore for national discussion with regards to safety of journalists in this country, Ghana's Press Freedom Index would continue to dip further. My name is Fred Joe reporting for Citi News.
Now, business owners have decried the increase in water and electricity tariffs as announced by the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, PURC. The end-user tariff for electricity has been increased by 29.96%, with that of water also seen an upward adjustment of 8.3%. In view of this, business owners say the increment is ill-timed amidst the current economic challenges. Citi News' Kennedy Chumesi has more in the following report, read by Akosia Ochre.
The last utility tariff increment was in August 2022, as announced by the Public Utilities Commission, PURC. Water and electricity tariffs were increased by 27.15% and 21.55% respectively. However, the Commission on January 16 announced another increment following the conclusion of its regulatory processes for quarterly adjustments in 2023. For businesses, the increment will further worsen their conditions of living and also destabilize their businesses. Magdalene Aite used to operate a laundry shop with her husband. She says due to the high cost of running the business, her husband has been forced to quit. She added that the current increment in tariffs will gradually collapse her business.
Emma sisi adwuma na nkasa entaima na afi adwuma no ba electricity water nkasa ni boyedin so no obedien you have to eat, so by all means you have to be at least managing some small things. The
increase, which is expected to take effect on February 1, will see an increment in electricity by 29.96% and water by 8.3%. The Commission says the increment was necessitated by an unfavorable exchange rate, the rising cost of gas for electricity generation, and chemicals for water treatment. Moses Obama runs a printing press at Newtown in Accra. He tells Citi News he will be forced to share the burden with his customers.
With the increment, I think the companies will be folding down because look at the electricity that we buy to run the machines and stuff, and the increment of the materials to the papers, it makes the printing very expensive, you understand? For example, look at the stationaries now that we are buying in the market. Because of the increment of the paper and the tariff and other stuff, you can't even buy the books at the market now. It is very expensive. Tariffs are high, the materials too are high. I have to send the cost back to the consumer, right? Without that, I can't survive the business. The business can't survive. So we have to, bear the cost to the consumer.
For the Association of Ghana Industries, government should be measured with the increment taking into consideration the current economic challenges.
So we are just asking government to delay the implementation of the increments of the utility tariffs to such a time that the economy is a little bit more stable and that the exchange rate will be stable and also that the inflation rate will be much more less.
so that we can be able to deal with another increment, of course. But as it is now, it is really, really difficult to expect our folks in the industrial community to be prepared to deal with a more higher increment in cost of utility.
So you had that report filed by City News' Kennedy Chumesi and read by Akusia Ochre.
Now, a recent poll conducted by the Global Info Analytics indicates that Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Chematin are tied in the race to lead the NPP ahead of the 2024 elections. The survey conducted between 31st December 2022 and 15th January 2023 shows a heated race between the two main contenders. An earlier poll in October 2022 showed Dr. Bawumia leading Alan Chematin marginally. However, the vice president has lost that slender lead, as the poll now shows the two leading contenders are level at 40% apiece among NPP supporters or NPP voters. The poll further shows the Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ohene Ejapon, in third place with 14% of the vote among NPP voters. We are joined in studio by my colleague and presidential correspondent, Sami Riafi. Good afternoon to you, Sami. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, Hawa.
Tell us more about this survey by the Global Info Analytics.
Okay, so it's a 72-page document, quite a bulky one, but because of time, we'll just do the executive summary and later give details in our subsequent bulletin. So it says the poll now shows Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and Alan Chematin leveled at 40% apiece among MPP voters. However, among the general voters, Alan Chematin lead over Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has been cut to 41% to 32% compared to 44 to 31% in October 2022. Kennedy Japan, which we all know has also declared its intention to lead the MPP, is in third place with just 14% of the votes among the people sampled. Now, in the race to who will lead the NDC, the poll shows that John Dramani Mahama extended his lead over Dr. Kwabena Dufo, as he is now backed by 77% of voters compared to 13% for Dr. Kwabena Dufo. But however, among NDC voters, John Mahama attracts 94% and Dr. Kwabena Dufo is just 4%. In the 2024 general election, head-to-head between Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and John Dramani Mahama, the poll shows a tightened race as Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia cuts John Mahama's lead from 62% in October 2022 to 58% in January 2023. John Dramani Mahama now leads 58% to 36%, a 3% improvement for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia compared to the previous poll. Now, between John Mahama and Alan Chematin, those who were, the respondents said that John Mahama will lead Alan Chematin by 57%, whilst Alan Chematin may get 39%. John Dramani Mahama and Alan Chematin, or John Dramani will get 60% and Alan Chematin 36%. At the last poll, which was in October 2022, representing a slide for 3% points for John Dramani Mahama in the latest poll. Now let's talk about the sample size. Now, a sample size of 5,844 size was used. The confidence level was 99%. The sample size was allocated to all regions based on the total number of votes in each of the regions as per the EC's 2022 voter register. A random selection of 30% of constituencies from each region was then selected and allocated the regional quota based on total voters in each of those constituencies. The respondents were selected randomly in streets, homes, and workplaces. Party affiliation is defined as the party of the voter usually vote for, and in the case of the first-time voters, the party they intend to vote for. Now, floating voters are voters who vote different political parties over several election cycles and does not align him or herself to any of the registered political party. Now, it says that the polls were conducted between 31st December 2022 and 15th January 2023.
2023. So that's a summary of what really the polls by Global Info Analytics is saying with regards to the 2024 election and the MPP's presidential primary. So it puts Dr. Bawumia and Alan Kyerematen neck to neck, and then the Member of Parliament for Asin Central Kennedy Japan as a third force.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague and parliamentary correspondent Sammy Wiafe telling us more about a poll conducted. Our presidential correspondent on a poll conducted by Global Info Analytics, which indicates that Vice President Dr. Mohamed Bawumia and former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kyerematen are tied in the race to the NPP presidential post. Kweku brings us the next story.
And more stories. The Volta regional capital of Ho is set to host the 66th National Independence Day celebration. This will be the 4th National Independence Day celebration to be held outside the national capital of Accra, following President Akufo-Addo's directive to rotate the national celebrations across the various regional capitals. During a courtesy call on the Volta Regional House of Chiefs to break the news to the region's traditional leaders, the leader of the delegation, Lord Oblitekome, said the president requires the blessings of the traditional leaders for a successful celebration.
The president had asked that I convey to you his decision to honor the good people of Volta region by getting the Volta region to host the 66th Independence Anniversary celebrations. The late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah once said that the independence is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of the African continent. Nana Addo says the independence is meaningless unless the Volta region hosts it. Since his assumption of office in 2017 was when he decided that to foster unity and cohesion, to boost the various local economies of the various regions, to open up our regions to the world, the celebration of this experience cannot be in Accra at the famous Independence Square alone.
So here the director of operation at the presidency, Lord Oblitekome.
The Ministry of Tourism says there's no money in the Marine Drive project account to continue the project. The 2020 Auditor General's report said an amount of 387,106 cedis was misapplied and recommended a refund to the project's account. But speaking at the Public Accounts Committee hearing, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Tourism, John Yao Agbeko, says work on the project, which is currently under the supervision of the presidency, is progressing slowly as a result of the situation.
So, what is the status of the Marine Drive project? Has something been done about it?
Honorable Chair, it's no longer with the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture. It's with the presidency.
But definitely, as a project that falls under ministry, you have knowledge about the status of the projects, whether work is ongoing, whether it's 99% complete or 2% complete. You should have an idea.
Honorable Chair, the works under the Marine Drive project are progressing very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. And there isn't much progress report to be given now. Thank you.
You heard John Yao Agbeko, who is the Chief Director of the Ministry of Tourism. And that's how we end today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios in Adabraka, Accra. The news was also live on all our partner stations across the country: Western Region, Beach FM and Premier FM in Takrady, Bono Region, Greener FM Sunyain, Ashanti Region, Orange FM Kumasi, Volta Region, Akpeni Radio Kwando, Heritage FM in Hohoi, Northern Region, Dasuma FM Yendi, Upper East, Word FM Zwarungu, Upper West. We were live on Westlink FM in Laura and Northeast Region. We were live on Eagle FM in Wali Wali. You can also log on to citynewsroom.com for more stories. My name is Hawa Itrisu. I was here with
Kweku Ediamanza.
Many thanks for your company and do have a great weekend.
Citi 97.3. More variety.